The best part of this whole goddamn thing is that he is not martyr material, so his death will mean nothing. It will activate no one. It will impact few. It's just great.
Now, if it were me, I have several words that I would use to describe you, your comments, and your obvious lack of intelligence. But I'm going to try to be a little bit more like Charlie and explain this in as reasonable a way as I possibly can muster. See, you think what happened was that a political leader that you didn't like was killed, when in reality what actually happened was the older brother for an entire generation of young conservatives was just murdered right in front of their faces, right in front of his family's faces, and you're sitting here celebrating it. Yeah, you think Charlie Kirk was just somebody that showed up and kicked all of your asses in debates. In reality, he was the sort of guy that showed up and defended tens of thousands of students that felt slandered, maligned, and even threatened by their schools, their peers, their professors, their administrators, right? And Charlie was the guy that showed up for him. So that's who you murdered. Right? And for older conservatives like me, you murdered someone that we saw as the future of the movement. But don't worry, Charlie made future leaders. So we really don't care if you don't see him as a martyr. You're going to learn, probably the hard way, that he absolutely was.
How do you look at the death of Charlie Kirk?
I think he deserved it. I really believe he deserved it.
I don't know about his positions. I feel like he was so controversial and he probably shouldn't have a platform in the first place. So, yeah, probably a little deserved.
I'm glad he's not with us anymore.
What did you say?
I'm glad he's not with us anymore.
Okay.
And I think that's a good thing.
You actually mean this, what you're saying right now?
Yeah, I actually mean it.
Yeah.
Fondamentale, quotidiano, impegnativo e necessario.
Madam President, dear colleagues, the murder of political activist Charlie Kirk, a man, a loving father, and a patriot, has shocked the world. We must strongly condemn political violence and the rhetoric that incites violence. Please join me in reflection and prayer in his honor, and I yield the remainder of my time for a moment of silence.
Mr. Weimers, we have discussed this, and you know that the President has denied the request for a minute of silence. Dear colleagues, I am happy to explain it again. The decision of whether to hold a minute of silence is a prerogative of the President. There have been several requests on this matter, and all applicants have been informed that there will be no minute of silence.
We have discussed this, and you know that the President has denied the request for a minute of silence.
Hi guys. Yeah, so thanks for joining me on my drive. I'm going to Co-op today. Co-op actually, I always thought Co-op was more expensive. Sorry, more cheaper. But actually, it's the one that we go to around here. The one that we have is bloody expensive. It's not cheap. Morrison's is cheaper. Aldi, Lidl, of course, they'll be cheaper as well. So, yeah, so today just continue on a little bit about what has been going on with the because I had a few comments about the Charlie Kirk, I was going to say incident, assassination, basically that's what it is. And yeah, you know, I get some comments from some subscribers of mine, some viewers, and you realize that you can't really talk about, you have to be careful when you talk about politics and you know, when you talk about religion as well. You know, some people call them lefties, you know, but I say it as a joke, but it's true, they are lefties. Like some people are right-wing or Tories or whatever they are, Republicans. I've always kind of tried to be in the middle and try and piss everyone off equally, right? I'm racist towards everyone. Not really, but you know what I mean. I'm racist to like even my own people, Italian people, but not really racist. Just trying to ridicule the idea of racism. Racism does exist, yeah, but it seems to be that everything is racist nowadays. That pavement is racist. Didn't you know? I bet you, like, you can tap in, I don't know, show a painting to ChatGPT and ask it to find racism. Yeah, car park in a silly place, and it will find it. Take a photo of a person and I don't know, just doing their shopping. You ask it to find racism. It will find racism somewhere. So it's something that really doesn't exist. It exists in the mind. But sometimes, yes, it's a bit more obvious. And I'm not saying it has to be stamped out, but it has to be, doesn't have to be, but people can question it, can say, look, why do you feel this way, you know, why? And you don't have to confront it, really. You could just question, and then maybe people that have certain really radical views can maybe then question themselves, you know? I don't know. I'm not one for pushing my beliefs or agenda on anybody, really. I want to be left alone. Okay, there we go. At the co-op. Yeah, so some people have been saying, I think a lot of my viewers, or a certain percentage of my viewers or subscribers, are maybe baby boomers. And baby boomers, I've heard, they tend to be leftists, you know, left wing. So it's funny that, isn't it? I would have thought they are more traditional, more right wing, more kind of conservative or Republican or whatever. Well, it seems like a lot of them are lefties. And maybe there's nothing wrong being a lefty, you know, because they mean well, people on the left and people on the right. They're just normal people with certain views. And some of the, you know, like the ways of thinking, you know, the values and everything are noble. You know, they want to do good things, you know, to help people. But it's when you move to the far left or far right that you start to encounter problems. And the far right has been like dismantled. You know, people who say, oh, the far right exists, white supremacy, they don't know anything about far right or supremacy. They absolutely don't know anything. They don't know what they're talking about. Where is the far right? Far right nowadays, that because the politics have moved so far to the left, that saying a man is a man and a woman is a woman, that's far right. So, say for example, you come from a liberal family, and you know, your father was a liberal, your grandmother was liberal and left wing, even communist. They would have believed that a man is a man, a woman is a woman. Their views are kind of now right wing or far right. So this just goes to show how much society has moved to the left. And far left ideology or far left ways of thinking is actually, I'm not saying acceptable, but it's not, it was debated by this guy, but it's, people don't say anything because they don't want to be labeled as, you know, labeled with the guilt cards that the far left have implanted in society, or cultural Marxism, whatever it is. And yeah, it was put into our society like a Trojan horse, like a virus that infects family, religion. You know, the two pillars of our society, family and religion, have to be destroyed. And they've done a good job. Well, bad job, I suppose. But they've done a job on society, definitely. And, you know, to change it from within. Because the difference between Marxism and cultural Marxism is, from what I understand, is to change society from within the culture. The culture has to be changed to usher in a new society, this woke, this utopia. Yeah. Utopia, my ass. Ouch. Sorry, I'm sniffling because I went onto a vegan diet. Now I'm sneezing my brains out. Because last night I had my friend, she got what did she get? Korma and rice. I'm not sure if it was the rice or maybe the sauce in the korma or whatever. I'm sneezing. I've been leaking. I've been eating more bread, but gluten-free bread. Oh yeah, sourdough as well. Beans on toast, maybe the beans, but I think, I just don't know. Histamine reaction. You know, I've been eating avocado that's high in histamine. My nose is just leaking, doesn't stop leaking. It's so nasty. Why don't you? I've got this. But if you constantly use paper, you end up with a red nose. If you go like this, then it's very soft on your nose. I don't want to end up with like Rudolph, the red nose. Was it reindeer? Or those guys with a red nose day with a big nose, big red nose. Oh, I'm leaking like hell. Yeah, so some people have in the comments like commented, and of course I get trolls. Not people who disagree with me, but people who are real trolls. So you can disagree and say, well, I don't agree with it, and I think this and that. Okay, fair enough. But there was one, I think it's, what's his name? Metal Rhythm UK, sending me these essays, these really intellectual essays, really intelligent guy. And afterwards, he's got another, probably himself or a friend, or probably himself, Angel Eyes, talking about me, like being, I'm a real despot. Is it desktop or despot? And you know, cancelling people. I like cancelling people, and maybe 30 years of not working to I don't know, to look after his family does that. Yeah, being really sarcastic. You know, being really cruel as well. And then that same guy, Metal Rhythm UK again. Like, I got pissed off with him, and like, you know, I kind of gave him what for, but I think I wasn't so bad. And he goes, he said you should seek some mental health, and with a, you know, smiling face like that. So I sent him a kind of a comment, a kind of legal warning, because you can't. He knows about my mental health, and people who have mental health, you know, have gone through, you know, difficulties, are fragile. And that's why I always say, you know, people who are gay, people who have not transphobia, who are trans, I know mental health when I see it. And this is a really terrible thing to say. Some people on the left to say, how dare you? But I think maybe a lot of people who are trans have mental health problems. And so I'm not saying, I know because I have mental health problems. I'm not putting anybody down. And so people who have mental health problems, you should go easy on them because they're more fragile. So I always go easy on people who are trans and gay, some gays as well, because I know I have my own mental health difficulties, so I wouldn't want anybody to abuse me. So I don't want to abuse trans or gay people, you know. But then a lot of us have got mental health problems, blacks, whites, you know, left wing, right wing, you know. So like, you have to be careful. You don't want to abuse someone, but you don't know if they have got mental problems or not. This guy knows I've got mental problems and they're laughing about my mental problems. Like this other guy, which is probably the same person, Angel Eyes, saying things like, I'm a despot and I cancel people or something like that. And then kind of laughing, saying that 30 years of not looking after your family does that to you. And they're kind of laughing at me, right? They know that the reason why I didn't work for 30 years was because of mental illness. So they're laughing and taking the piss out of my mental illness. So I feel sorry for them because I wouldn't want anybody to have what I have and to suffer what I've suffered. You know, just because I have a different opinion to yours. You know, another person said I'm right wing, like, first of all, a nice one, like Italian sounding name says, I'm not like right wing or left wing, but a fish dies by his words, and then proceeded to say that Charlie Kirk said something about gun rights, because I'm not I'm from the UK. We don't have guns here apart from criminals. So I don't understand. You know, it's an American thing, right? And so he said something like, I think the quote was, if some people die, you know, I'm not saying it's worth it or something, but so that we can have our gun rights, the Second Amendment, or whatever it is. And he quoted that quote when he was freshly dead. He hasn't even been buried yet. So now I said to him, that's a bit, you know, under the belt. If Biden would have had his head blown off, assassinated, you know, I wouldn't have written a quote saying, well, Biden, as much as I don't like these people, Pelosi, I don't like them, really don't like them. They are, I would say they're mean and evil, but they're human beings. Fortunately or unfortunately, they're human beings. They still deserve that. When they were born, they were innocent. When they were born, they were lovely little children when they were growing up. So it's like we've lost our humanity, and the left has definitely lost its humanity. Definitely. You know, another guy said, well, you can't negotiate with people if you call them evil. How can you negotiate with people who want to kill you, who want to cancel you? How can you negotiate with that? So he's trying to kind of say, if you demonize another group, then of course you can't talk. I understand what he's saying, but this group cannot be, I'm not saying the left, but the far left, Antifa, you know, even those trans radicals, which are not many, but they're bad. I'm not saying all trans, but some of them, a small minority maybe. And online I heard that this guy was radicalized by a trans person, you know? So I'm not sure if that's true or not. And it doesn't really matter. If it was radicalized by one trans person, it doesn't change my view about other trans people. It's just the same as any other group. You get some bad and you get some good ones. Because the person is trans, then they stand out. You know, oh, okay, is this trans terrorism now? You know. So I got another comment saying about, what about all the other people that die every day? And you know, I'm making a comment on the trans people don't kill people every day. Well, hang on, there aren't many trans people in this world. And also, we're talking about the subject was, you know, the killing of, sorry, the assassination of Charlie Kirk. So there is a kind of, if not trans involvement, you know, the guy being radicalized by a trans. It's that whole thing, a whole woke far left ideology. Another person said, "Oh, well, he grew up in a Mormon, Christian, Republican home." I don't know what that's supposed to mean. What that means to me is that, yeah, if you come from a Christian or Mormon or Republican home, a conservative home, you can be radicalized. What did he do? What did the family do that was so wrong? They sent him to college. And that's where people get radicalized. They don't get radicalized at home, or they could do via the internet. So, yeah. I don't know. All I know is when you're walking down the street, you can smell something, and you know there's shit somewhere. You don't know where it is, but when you pass by, you know it bloody smells. And this stinks. This really stinks bad. You know, the left, those moderate people on the left, I think they should think about what they're supporting, what they're standing up for. What they're standing up for isn't this. You know, like those good guys on the left are good people. They want to look after the people who are hungry, people who are oppressed. This is bollocks. This is not oppression. This is like, you know, they talk about white supremacy. This is like far left supremacy. They will kill someone with a different political view. And, you know, I've had death threats from those far left people. I haven't had any death threats from far right people, you know? So when people talk about the far right, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. They're saying that this guy, Charlie Kirk, he was a far right. He literally, the reasons why a lot of people on the far left like hated him is because of his stance on Israel and Palestine. Now, I disagree. You know, I'm in the middle. I'm like, you can call me like one of those liberal Jews. Because, you know, even though you support Jewish people, you are against the killing of other people in your name, you know, and you want peace. You just want peace. Yes, you know what's happened in the past and you want peace. He didn't have this view. And a lot of, like, Republicans don't have this view, you know, and that's why I think they lose the vote to, you know, those, you know, like, they lose the vote to the left, the far left and the left, because, you know, like Trump, he did try and create some kind of peace, and then he was actually swearing. He said, I don't know, these guys don't want peace, and he gave up, which was wrong. He should have kept pushing for peace, you know, but maybe Israeli want a piece of land a bit more. I don't know. I don't understand the politics really, but yeah, I pray for peace in that area really, because the people that say, no, we should take the land, they're making a huge mistake. There's an opportunity for peace. There must be an opportunity for peace. Because I worry about the future. The future, you'll have more terrorists, more terrorism. The more are killed, the more terrorism you're going to have. The more real anti-Semitism you're going to have. None of this bollocks. You can have real anti-Semitism, violence, you know. So anyway, I don't want to talk about that. It's just my opinion. My opinion basically is peace. Not at any cost, but almost, you know. Loads of people have been killed. Like finally, someone has to get to the table and say, okay, look, we're not going to forget the past, but let's think about the future and make sure there is no more violence in the future. I don't know how, but the politicians know, and they can negotiate, and I don't know. Well, anyway, forget about that at the moment, for the moment. But yeah, he was far right. He wasn't far right, you know. So basically, like, if you support Israel, you're far right. I thought it was the other way around. I thought the far right was supposed to be the anti-Semites, the Nazi. But it seems to be the other way around. What happens is, as you move towards the left, the far left, you move towards the far right. Because imagine you have a globe here. You have the center, and then you have the left, the right and the left. And you move this way. You drop off, say this is the earth, you drop off the earth and you're in no man's land. And here you're also in no man's land. You're in the same place. You kind of whoop. And in Taoism, it teaches that. So you have the yin and yang, okay? The yin and yang symbol. One is yang and one is yin. As you move towards the end of yin, you move towards yang. As you move towards the end of yang, you move towards the beginning of yin. So, for example, a punch, for example, is really strong, and then it becomes, at the end, it becomes weak. Now, this punch, you can't move it. It's so strong. But as you stretch, you can move that with one finger. It becomes yin. So yang at the end becomes yin, and yin at the end becomes yang. So, for example, if somebody is pushing you and you move backwards, yin, and you can't move backwards anymore, it becomes yang. You move and it becomes yang. Anyway, it becomes strong. So, the beginning of yin is the end of yang. The end of yang is the beginning of yin. They're the same things. Like, in the past, I've spoken to people who are far right, and I've spoken to people who are those kind of militant blacks. And I spoke to one guy, and he was saying to me, a black guy, let's call him Leroy or whatever, and he said, yeah, no offense, but, you know, whites and blacks should separate, you know, like black women shouldn't go with white guys because otherwise our race will be watered down, and black men for black women. And I said, oh yeah, you know, and I've heard the same thing for the far right. They say, yeah, white men and white women should stay together. No black man has to, like, taint our pool, you know, our black men for black women, white. And so these are far right, and these are extremists like left. They're the same. They have the same bloody goals. It's the same thing. But you are seeing extreme left. You're not seeing extreme right. There is no extreme right. Charlie Kirk didn't say that anything that is extreme right, really. But it's seen as extreme right, as I said, because we have moved so far to the left. So, like, if you just say a man is a man and a woman is a woman, that is far right. If you say, I think apparently in one of his tweets before he passed away, he said, like, black women don't have the mental acuity or something. I don't know what the context was. They were asking something, and so that would be extreme. That would be extreme far right. So I'm not sure if this quote was taken out of context, depending on what he was asked. But he's probably asked something like, you know, would you let a black woman be a pilot or whatever, you know? And so that's what the left do. You know, diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know, they have to put X amount of pilots have to be black or trans or whatever, you know, for equity and the inclusion and diversity. Forget about the fact that that person is qualified or not. That person has to be qualified. Otherwise, you're not going to get on You're not going to get on a plane with, you know, somebody who you think is not qualified, who might not be qualified. Why would you? Yeah. Imagine having a brain surgeon or somebody to do an operation because they just tick the boxes. No, that can't happen, you know. And so he's probably saying something like that. You know, he's probably saying, yeah. But, you know, sometimes things are taken out of context. And even if they're not, so what? He has his opinion, right? The far left have some strange ideas, but nobody goes around wanting to shoot them. Or at least not a political figure. As I said, like Biden or somebody who, I don't know, somebody who's far left. Biden, I don't know if he was left, but he was influenced by the far left, all those woke people in his party. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, but those people, that Rhythm, was it Metal Rhythm UK and Angel Eyes, they go on about, I think it's the same person, about me cancelling them. I haven't cancelled them. If you're listening, you can try writing a comment. You can still write a comment. I didn't cancel anyone. I haven't cancelled you. And Angel Eyes, even though you said these things about, oh, 30 years does this to you, you know, trying to be sarcastic. I haven't cancelled you. You know, you're all tough behind a screen, you know, and the Metal Mickey, what is it? Metal Rhythm UK. You like doing your ChatGPT inspired comments, like long bloody essays that nobody understands apart from AI. And you know, saying that you have a massive ego like Pluto. So what? Everyone has an ego, don't they? What about yours? If my ego is like Pluto, yours is like Uranus. So I don't understand. You know, these people that, you know, I'm talking to you, like Metal Rhythm UK, so smart. You know, why don't you show us all your wisdom by creating your own channel and we see your face? You know, if I'm so dumb, I'm so stupid, I'm idiotic or whatever, why don't we see your face? See your face, your ideas. At least I put myself out here. You don't. You stay in the shadows and you hide, and then you shoot your comment and then you run away like a coward, because that's what you are. You're a coward. You will always be a coward, because it's not as if you're going to come up to me and say, look, this is what I think about you. You're an idiot. Because someone could talk back to you, you know, and say, well, I don't think so. I think you're an idiot or whatever. And there'll be an argument. You don't want an argument. You want to stay safe there behind your computer screen. And Angel Eyes as well. Well, probably the same person. The same person that I did actually get rid of, but keeps coming back to abuse me and harass me. Don't worry, I've got a file on my computer that is ready for the police. So if you want, you can continue. The problem is, when you get the knock on the door, it's not because you said just one thing. It's because you've been continuously harassing me for months and months, and you know I've got mental health problems, and you laugh at me and push me, and you know I can't say anything back because you run away. You know, and this is what bullies do. Bullies like you. You know, if you're so tough, come to me and I'll record it. And we'll see how really tough you are, Angel Eyes or whoever. But you're cowards. You will always be cowards. And you will always stay behind there. And that's why you're called trolls. So I'm not going to cancel anybody. You can reply. And you'll see your name is on there, Angel Eyes. I'm not scared of you. I'm not frightened of you at all. But you are frightened. That's why you stay behind the shadows and you hide. So what I'm saying is, make your own channel and see what it's like to have videos and put yourself out there. You'll get a lot of shit. It's really difficult. You will not be able to take it. I'll tell you that. So put your money where your mouth is and come onto YouTube, create your own channel, do your own videos. Until then, you just can't talk. It's just all talk and it's all trolling, you know. So fed up with you guys. You know, you put me down, but you don't do what I do. If you say that I talk shit, well, you just go onto YouTube and do it yourself and see. Let's see, you know, as I said, let's see your wonderful wisdom and what you're about. But you don't, because you rather hide, like a coward that you are. You are all, well, not all, but a few of you are cowards. You know, the trolls. Some are trolls because they've got mental health problems. And, you know, I think these trolls do have mental health problems, because somebody who goes online and wants to troll people and knows that they're actually hurting somebody, does have a mental health problem. Just like that guy. I mean, some people just take it to the extreme, like that black guy who killed the Ukrainian woman. Obviously, he's got a mental health problem, but people can cancel you without even getting their hands dirty. You know, they can say things about you, about your family and stuff like that, and it's hurtful, of course. But just like this black man who killed the white woman, Ukrainian woman, he's a total coward. First of all, he's a man, a lot stronger than her. Secondly, he goes behind her back with a knife and executes her. So a lot of these criminals are, these trolls and criminals are sick in the head, but they're also cowards. Because as animals, this is what we are. There is no... there isn't an animal that will fight head on, you know, against a person, against an animal their own size and their own ferocity. Like a lion is not going to take on, I don't know, a rhinoceros. It will get crushed. Or an elephant. They know that. So they're going to take on an antelope or something smaller than them. Like a cat is going to kill, I don't know, a mouse or a bird. It's not going to take on a German Shepherd, for example, or a big dog. The same thing with a dog. A dog will eat up and destroy and obliterate a cat, but it won't be able to do that against a horse or something like that, you know. Well, not a horse, but a bigger animal, you know. So, yeah, there's a Chinese saying, for every mountain, there's a taller mountain. So that's what it's like in nature. And these people are, like we all are, animals. You know, they think they're crazy until they find someone who's crazier than them, and then suddenly they won't become crazy anymore, because they're cowards. And to be a coward is actually a natural trait. They think they're special, but they're actually not. Just the same as everybody else. They shit themselves if they come up against a big, strong guy. I mean, this guy says, like, I am cancelled. Because that person has been cancelled so many times because he's given me so much shit, he comes back with a different name and the multiple names, and does the same thing, has these long AI written essays, and then after a few comments you see his or her true colors. They start abusing me and start saying stuff. It's always the same person, because you can see the MO is always the same technique, just a different name. And you will get things like that. People who will kind of chronic trolls. They will it is really difficult to deal with these people. And it makes you angry, really, because you think, okay, if you want to attack me, just come to my face and do it, and let's see, you know. But they won't do that. They're cowards, as I said. They're real cowards. So I don't know. I don't want to have hate towards them or want them any harm at all. I don't. But the funny thing is, they're probably not really bad people. They're just cunts. they're just bastards, really, in some ways. But they might be really nice with their family, or you know. But you know, they know that this sarcasm, if they meet someone in the street and talk to them that way, they'll get it shoved up their arse. They're smart enough to know that, so they have to do it. They have to hide and do it, as I said, in the shadows. So what they must feel, I don't know, like they must have really low self-esteem to know that you have to do something like behind people's back. You can't do it up front. You have to be anonymous. Well, yeah. So, like, for other people who say that, well, if I'm not talking about trolls, the trolls and other people who say, well, you know, there is freedom of speech. You know, you shouldn't stop someone who talks about your family. You shouldn't stop someone who says somebody who just disagrees with your point of view. No. There is disagreeing with your point of view and abusing you. There is a fine line. Where's that fine line? I'll tell you where it is. It's very simple, really, to explain this, right? So, how do I say this? Okay. If you had an opinion, right, or your point of view, and you say that I don't know, I hate all cars that are white because they get really dirty. That's okay. But if you say that all white cars are evil, they have to be fucking destroyed, that's kind of an opinion, but it moves to a kind of area of insult and abuse, especially if you're talking to someone who has a white car and you want to destroy it while he's in that car with his family. Then it becomes a threat. Not necessarily a threat, but it becomes more of a, you're trying to harass or abuse someone. Let me give you an actual example, right? So someone says online, because they can say these things online, but they cannot say these things in real life in the street. So you go up to a black guy, one big, let's say big black guy, or big white Irishman with a with the fist bigger than your face, right? I've got tiny fist. And you go up to them and say, hey man, I disagree with I don't know, the cost of living, or I disagree with your politics, you know. That's a difference of opinion. That's your opinion. You go up to the guy and say, I think your mum's a slut. For some people, yeah, another racist thing. For some people, right, that's freedom of speech. Like, that's an opinion, right? But you know, in real life, you'll have that opinion shoved up your ass. You'll get beaten up by a big guy. You know, so what I'm trying to say is they would never say this in public, even to someone that they disagree with. Like, some people can have a debate, for example, like Charlie Kirk used to, and they'd get butthurt. They get, of course, because he was good at debating. So I understand that would destroy people's egos and that would upset them. I do understand that. So that's why I think what a lot of the things that he did, you know, you can go around debating, but for many people they thought it was a put down, and that's why they hated him, because they couldn't beat him in a debate. They had to kill him. They had to shoot him. And so that's one way you can cancel somebody. But the sad thing about this is a lot of people on the left are happy about it, are rejoicing, they're dancing. There was one Irish woman who wanted to have a party, wanted to celebrate, you know, the death of one guy who had a different opinion. Some say he didn't just have a different opinion. Words hurt. No, words are violence. No, violence is violence. He didn't shoot anybody, did he? He may have shot people with his words, but you know, he didn't KILL people. He didn't assassinate anybody. And you can't defend that. In fact, some people on the left don't defend it. And they're saying, this is not our politics. This is not what I believe in. And yeah, some people probably will leave the left. You know, they'll go to the center, or they'll forget about politics altogether. You know, because they think if this is the left, then I don't want to have anything to do with it. But those far left are still hell bent. You know, they're laughing. They're saying that he deserved it. They're saying that Charlie Kirk deserved to be assassinated.
I think he deserved it. I really believe he deserved it.
I don't. He shouldn't have a platform in the first place. So, yeah, probably a little deserved.
He's not with us anymore.
What did you say?
I'm glad he's not with us anymore.
Okay.
And I think that's a good thing.
You actually mean this, what you're saying right now?
Yeah, I actually mean it.
Yeah.
See, what they're really saying is they couldn't stand the fact that he debated those on the left and beat them, or they couldn't cancel him, and so they had to cancel him another way. And that's the ultimate way to shut somebody up, to kill them. You know, and he stuck his neck out and it was cut off. That's what they do. That's what they will do. That's what communism has always done. You know, so the left are becoming like a communist party, full on cultural Marxist, woke, critical race theory, DEI, all this bollocks, you know, and it's just sad. Even like people on my comment section, you know, when you talk about politics, you will divide your subscribers and you will divide your fans. And you know, people are afraid of that. You know, people who have channels, they avoid religion, they avoid politics, because they know they will lose some of their fans. I'd rather tell the truth, and then my truth anyway, and how I feel. And I'm not bothered if I lose fans or I lose subscribers. I'm not saying that I hate those people. I'm just saying that the same way that a lot of those guys on the left don't care about anybody, you know, don't care about anybody's feelings, and it's either their way or no way, or you're silenced. I'm not saying that, but I just I just don't like the way this is going. And if this party, the left, I just don't know that they're you know, some people said they're demons. I believe there's some demonic force, you know, behind all this far left stuff. You know, they hide behind you know, they want to be you know, all these words like equity, diversity, equity, and inclusion. It sounds nice, but I don't know, when you dig deep, it's all evil, it's all bad, it's all just to destroy one race. You know, all those white liberals are so stupid. Don't they see what cultural Marxism and what this wokery is doing? Who it's targeting? They're the ones that will be targeted one day by, you know, the new left that come along. They'll say, well, you have a house, you know, you're responsible for, you know, all the ills of the black people and gay people. It doesn't matter that you voted the Democrat or Labour. So they don't realize that they're going to be targeted at one point because they're white. They're so stupid. They don't see it. Some that see it are thinking, oh yeah, this guy's talking a lot of sense. But they don't say anything. You're not allowed to say this stuff. It's like a religion. You become an apostate, or, you know, a heretic or whatever. Yeah, so like their heroes are people like George Floyd, who was a career criminal, who was on drugs at the time and probably was going to die anyway, even though like the policeman, what he did was wrong. I don't think he did it on purpose, but it was stupid. And then, I don't know, it led to his death, but some people say that he was going to die anyway. So the policeman wasn't to know that, but that's a different story. But he definitely was a criminal. He wasn't some mural. You see George Floyd with wings, like he's some kind of saint. Like, nobody deserves to die. I don't care if he's a criminal, well, a criminal or taking drugs or whatever. So I'm not saying that about George Floyd, but nothing's going to happen. If a white person dies, there's going to be no riots. There's going to be no, like, I don't know, buildings being burnt down and like billions or I don't know, millions going to a certain cause that terrorizes communities, a whole country, like the BLM, gets people to go on their knees and put their hands up. Can't you guys see this is communism? Like, you'd think they'd mix it up a bit. The fist, kneeling down on the floor, this is what BLM did. This is what these stupid, like, millionaire football players still do. They kneel on the floor, they stop putting their hands up, but it's the same thing. It's the same visuals, you know. Oh wow, there's a kid screaming. Yeah, so like for George Floyd, the European Union or the European Parliament, they had 1 minute silence for him, okay, and the racism and stuff like that, right? So the same thing happened with Charlie Kirk. They asked for 1 minute of silence. They didn't want to do it. So this guy says he'll give up his time and please do 1 minute of silence. They didn't allow it. So for a criminal who put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach and terrorized her and did other stuff, right? You get 1 minute of silence, but this guy who wasn't a criminal, never killed anybody, never did any drugs, I don't know, conservative, a Christian man, whether you agree with him or not, he was a political, they say that he could have been not the next president, but a future president. Gets nothing because he's a conservative, he's a Christian, and he's a straight white male. So now you know that the European Parliament, or this whole European, the United States of Europe, is an experiment. It's a communist experiment. Now you know. So yeah, anyway. Yeah, so as I said, there's a few. I've seen some videos. People like they're laughing about his death. Now, to you people on the left who are sane, right? Who are sane and have a heart, you know that if Biden or Kamala Harris were assassinated, like people on the right, you might get some rare idiot, but people on the right mostly would not celebrate and jump around and laugh at the death of somebody who they even didn't like or even despised. They would not jump around and laugh. And I think it's because maybe people on the right have different values, different morals. They believe in a God and they believe in a kind of karma. Whereas people on the left, they don't believe in any God. They don't believe in anything apart from their communism. And so they are more nutty. They are really bloody nutty. I'm not saying all people on the left, but yeah, it's really, I think it's really embarrassing to the people who are moderate left or the center left. If they see some of these videos online of people who are far left, those woke ones, those extremists, what they're doing, yeah. If I was a left-wing person, I saw that, I'd leave, because I'd say this is not me. This is definitely not me. And it's nothing to do with trans or gay. You have some people who are trans who are right wing, and they say it's disgusting. Some people who are gay, they're saying it's disgusting.
I am done. I am not going to vote Democrat anymore. I did leave the left because I was getting sick and tired of their behavior. But I was considering myself to be in the center. No. Whoever did this just fucked up. And I'm seeing a lot of people who were on the left say that they're no longer going to be on the left anymore. I still have my same beliefs. I still support the communities that I support, and I will still vote for people who align with those beliefs, but it's not going to be a Democrat. I'm done. You guys are disgusting. The shit that you're saying is fucking horrible. You should be extremely ashamed of yourself. You're supposed to be the party of empathy. Where the fuck is the empathy? I'm done. And as always, you guys, to my followers, have a great day. To the people who are saying this horrible, awful shit, have the day you deserve. Bye.
The point that I was trying to make is how peaceful the left was right before he got shot. And that only makes sense if we stay peaceful. And as much as I disagree with Charlie Kirk, I'm on the record for how much I disagree with Charlie Kirk, but like, man, dude, he is still a human being. Have we forgotten that? Are we crazy? Like,
so, okay. So there you have it. He says the irony behind the fact that he was trying his best to show Charlie Kirk there in his final moments that the left wasn't even violent. It's crazy. But this same guy, he has a big social media following, right? So he goes on record and then he says he's starting to think that he feels like he's one of the last few people on the left that cares about family, that cares about a lot of things. This is the same guy, the last guy to speak to Charlie Kirk. Watch what he says here, Kirk. Watch what he says here now.
It does sometimes feel like I am one of the few, definitely not the only, but certainly maybe a minority of the left that really cares still about life or family or America. I don't know. My name is Hunter. I was in the middle of debating Charlie Kirk in the middle of the assassination at Utah Valley University.
Do you know how many mass shooters there have been in America over the last 10 years? Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
I mostly came in there because Charlie's very open about having some sort of dialogue or some sort of conversation that, you know, he believes in engaging. And I'm pretty on the record of how much I disagree with him, but I do definitely respect how much he's willing to platform voices to ensure that, you know, at least some semblance of a good conversation can come out of it. Conversation isn't everything, right? There's a lot more that comes to politics than just conversation. But like, Charlie was certainly onto something there that like conversation does fuel quite a bit of, fuels something that I think we've, I don't know, maybe discarded.
Democrat, all I have to say is the Charlie Kirk shooting just proves that we are the worst, man. My party is the fucking worst. I got people celebrating, hoping that he dies. Are we fucking for real right now? Where's the empathy? Where's the respect, man? It's disgusting. It's disgusting, truly. And the fact of the matter is this: he was a father, and whether or not I agree with his political opinions, all he truly wanted to do at the core was see this country be the best. And I can fucking respect that. And to see people just be blatantly disgusting, man, we're the worst, man. We're horrible.
So breaking fucking news, Charlie Kirk got shot in the fucking neck. That was the last bastion. I can't be a liberal no fucking more. You see the fucking comments? I hope the gun is okay. The same fucking people asking for moral decency. I cannot in good faith align myself with you guys anymore. I once had a headache. You'll be all right. Because you don't agree with him politically?
I'm not gonna lie, y'all gotta be a different type of sick to be celebrating Charlie Kirk's death, bro. That's crazy to me. Like, you don't gotta agree with anything bro say. I made a video about not agreeing with what he said on Juneteenth. That don't mean I think he deserved to lose his life, though. Every page that's posting Charlie Kirk's death
So I'm very aware that when you look at me, you see the hair and the nose ring, you probably think I'm a huge liberal. I love living in America. I love this country. I am a die-hard centrist. I have a lot of liberal views and I have a lot of conservative views, but most of the time I'm able to see the gray in areas and come to a critically thought out conclusion about the right and wrong. The amount of people I've had to unfriend or unfollow because they're cheering and happy about what happened today is very disheartening. And if you're following me on here and you're upset that I'm not cheering and woohoo, please unfollow me. I'm sorry if you followed me because of the way I looked. We live in a country where I can look the way I want to look and I can have the opinions I want to have and say the things I want to have because of where we live. And this is an attack on freedom of speech, no matter how you look at it, whether you like Charlie, you didn't like Charlie.
I'm so mad right now. I was just sitting down to do my makeup and I get the news about Charlie Kirk. What the actual fuck? Liberals, this is your part. This is your party. This is your party. This is what you do. This is what you do. Jasmine Crockett, AOC, what are you doing? Chuck Schumer, like, what are you doing about this right now? Yous are the party. Yous are the Democrat Party. Mandami, what are you doing? Are you doing anything about this right now? No, of course you aren't.
I've been sitting in my car for the last hour or so, just trying to process the last couple of days. And forgive me if I don't have the energy. It has been really troubling. I just came here to announce my official divorce from the Democratic Party. And you're talking to a guy who's been voted Democrat since I was 18 years old. Up until recently, I've been changing how I vote, but still carrying the label, you know. I'm the type of guy who doesn't jump ship. I try to be the voice of reason within the ship to try to steer it back to a true north. But this party has lost its way. The Democratic Party, let's be honest, has become demonic and barbaric. And I, as a Christian, can't be a part of that anymore. Look, I'm a proud and beautiful Black man. I love being Black. I love my skin, everything that comes with it. I was a proud Democrat. I remember they used to stand for the right thing. But before I'm beautifully Black, before I am a member of any party, I'm a born-again Christian. I'm a born-again Christian, and the Democratic Party right now doesn't represent my values, my ethics.
I'm a Black man born in America. I know what problems that exist in this country, but I also know there's far more good people than there are bad people in this country, regardless of who you are, what your ethnic background is. White, Black, Hispanic, and beyond. I'm in a studio here in Las Vegas, and I'm looking outside, and I see people looking at me and smiling and saying, "What's up, Steven?" They don't look anything like me. And I don't care, because they're showing me love, and I'm showing love right back to them. At some point in time, we got to recognize, can't just speak about it. Can't just give lip service to when such a vile act takes place. And we're going to give lip service to the tragedy of the moment. And then within 24 hours, we move on with our lives like nothing happened. Something did happen. Don't care what his political beliefs were. I don't care what he felt. I care about the fact that a man was gunned down in front of two of his children who are 5 years of age or less. That he's dead at the age of 31. That his wife is a widow. That his children are fatherless. Because his ideas and his beliefs differed from somebody else, apparently. And then I'm going online and I'm seeing people celebrating it. Shame. Shame on you.
He was, and then the last person who debated Charlie Kirk, it's ironic because he was saying something like he was trying to show Charlie Kirk that the But this is like the general vibe that the left is not violent. As soon as he said that, he was asking the question, he got assassinated. Isn't it ironic? And he was afterwards, I think he was interviewed, and he was saying, like, he generally believes he's one of the few on the left, and he says something like we're rare or we're not many, that actually believe in the family and believe in humanity or other humans. You know, he's that guy. He's a lefty, and he sounds like a good guy. That he says like what happened is disgusting. It's even more disgusting that people are laughing about it. You know, where he said something like, at the end of the day, he is a human. He is a human being, and you lose all your humanity when you start to celebrate the death of a person. What did he do? He didn't kill anybody. He destroyed people with his words, maybe, but it just shows like how. And so when people say that they're evil, well, they've lost their humanity. They have lost their humanity when they act like that. You know, when they don't consider another person, not even a human being anymore, they dehumanize, as they say. They, you know, and people are going to say, well, you're dehumanizing them. Well, they're not humans anymore, are they? I mean, you know, if they don't care about any human being that doesn't think the way they do, you have to see evil as evil. It is evil. It doesn't mean you could, you know, you're gonna shoot them like they do. But you know, some people are saying it's a war now because you can't. They're saying, no, I'm not saying this, but some people are saying you can't fight. You have to fight fire with fire. And I'll tell you, if the far left, if they think they can win a war against the right, they're absolutely wrong, because you know the right, they, in the States at least, they have their weapons, they like their weapons, and if there's an opportunity where it's an all-out war where these Antifa start taking out political opponents, and then people in churches, people in schools and things like that, just because of their politics, just because they're Christian or just because they're conservative, then unfortunately you're going to see some groups or some people then unfortunately that will start to target far left, Antifa, you know, gun them down like bombs. You don't know what can happen. So that's why Trump said, like, the rhetoric has to stop. It has to stop, because if you ignite the right, if you continue, you can ignite a real far right. If you ignite the real far right, these Antifa guys won't know what hit them, because they've never experienced a real far right. An old lady, you know, walking down the street saying, well, I believe a man is a man and a woman is a woman. And these guys are saying that you're a fascist, a Nazi, far-right white supremacist. If you trigger the real far right, believe me, they don't want to trigger the real far right, because it hasn't existed. You know, if they wake that up, it's not going to be good for them. The reason why they're allowed to say everything that they say is because we live in countries that are in woke times. A lot of the masses, you know, like the majority, don't like it. They don't like all this stuff, but they're all this man is a man, woman is a woman, this kind of stuff. Or sorry, the opposite. You know, you don't know what a man or a woman is. You have to have a pronoun. They, them, he, she. I've got no bloody pronoun. My name is Gerald, that's it. So anyway, yeah, so that's a long video about things that I've seen online. And yeah, if you guys are my fans and hate what I said, just consider what's happened, you know. And so another guy said, if you're not right wing, then I'm a giraffe. And I suppose I am right wing, but I'm not. When I said I'm not right wing or left wing, I'm on the fence. It's because I don't really care about politics. But yeah, it's. I suppose I must be. If these are the people that divide us, like if you believe a man is a man and a woman is a woman, there's no other sex. Because biologically there's no other sex, and then you're caught. If you don't agree with that, so if you agree with that, then you're somehow a far right, white supremacist, even Nazi. Just because you believe in something that human beings have believed in for thousands, millions of years or whatever, just because you believe in the thing that a fact that people believe in other countries like China, Russia, Africa, but because you're in the West and you say that, you're somehow a Nazi, you're a white supremacist. This is fucking ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. It would be funny if it was like a joke, but it's not a joke. People think this way, like you're a Nazi, you're a fascist. Like, I think these kids have got things really wrong. They've been so brainwashed in these universities and colleges that they don't know the truth. I don't know. I just don't know. Oh, right, yeah. So if I upset someone, then I'm sorry, but you know, you're not supposed to talk about your political beliefs. I didn't think I really had any until this thing happened with Charlie Kirk. I knew of him. I saw his videos, but I thought sometimes he was too extreme. You know, he was too hard on people. And I thought, you know, sometimes I felt sorry for the people who debated him because he was really good at debating. It wasn't really a fair debate. And so you will piss people off. They will lose face, you know. So I didn't agree with everything he said, but some of the things you agree with him, you know, or I did. Yeah. So I suppose I have right-wing views, you know, because I grew up in the 70s, and like I had a lot of bad experiences in London, you know. I got mugged by black guys. I got stabbed by a black guy. Abused a lot at school and bullied by black guys. So there was a period where I didn't really like black guys. Not women or elderly, it's just young guys. And I used to know one guy, you know, they go on about the far right. As I said, the reason why I say they do not know what the extreme right or the NAZI, they do not know exactly, they did not know what they're like. It's funny because they really don't. The far right, the real far right or Nazi, some of them are mean and they're really bad. I used to know a guy, he was an Italian guy, and he was a NAZI. He used to live in our house. We rented one of the rooms, and so we used to talk to him about stuff. And I remember one day my friend came, a black guy, to the house, and I was talking to him, and he didn't even look at him. He didn't want to look at him, and he gave him a bad look, and he was really upset, or it was a really strange situation. So I kind of diffused the situation by going to another room. But once I asked him about evolution and the creation, you know, I said, oh, what do you believe in? Do you believe that we all came from monkeys, or do you believe in Adam and Eve? And his answer kind of shocked me, but I thought, oh my God. So He said, hey, it's simple. It's simple. We came from Adam and Eve, but black people came from monkeys. And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I dealing with here? And I thought, he doesn't really mean it, does he? Like, it's a joke. And then, you know, I accept everybody's way of thinking. You know, I think, okay, well, if that's what you think, it's interesting. You know, but he was a far right person. I remember once that I went out with a nice French girl, and he went out with he had a Japanese girlfriend, and we took them to the cinema. This was in London on, I think it's Tottenham Court Road. And when we went to the cinema, like there was like a march, a skinhead march, loads of skinheads, and he was really happy. You know, he was really happy walking towards them. I said, look, come on, let's try to avoid this march and go to the how do you call it? Go to the cinema. And I was thinking, like, you're walking with a Japanese girl, and she doesn't look very. She was Brazilian Japanese, so she looked slightly dark. I was with a French girl, so it was okay. But quiet, be quiet. Shh, shh. Be quiet. Shh, shh. No. Yeah, so yeah, that's a strange thought. But I've known people from the far right and from the far left, some black guys who are really militant, you know, and I've known of them, and I've spoken to them, and they're almost the same. They hate the other race, you know. This group of militant blacks, they just don't like whites and they want to be on their own. And this group here of whites or blacks, they're both the same. They have roughly the same goals and stuff. So I've had interesting experiences with all types of people. And yeah, I mean, when you talk to them, you can't say, you just have to say, yeah, well, okay, you know, that's how you think, you know, that's cool, you know, for you, you know. You can't say, no, I disagree. Could you imagine that black guy's house? I said, no, I disagree. I think you're racist. I'm not going to say anything like that. Or to this guy, you know, well, I don't think that maybe we came from monkeys and maybe we just evolved in different parts of the world. That's why we're whiter. I'm not gonna go there. I'm gonna say, oh yeah, all right then. Yeah. I don't disagree or agree. I just say, oh, all right. Change the subject. But yeah, these guys do not know what the right wing is, the real right wing. They've never seen it. If they think an old lady or an old man that thinks that transgender ideology goes against their religion, and so they don't want to, you know, accept it for themselves. White supremacist, Nazi. No, they're not. They're just normal people who have this way of thinking, a traditional way of thinking. Most of the planet have this way of thinking. You go to Africa, China, and say things like that, you are Nazi, you won't get anywhere. And these people know that they can only do it here in these countries where people have become weak. Yeah, so that's my talk for today. A bit of a rant. I don't really like to talk about these things, but it's been going on. People have been even sending me emails asking me about this. So I've made this video. I don't want to, but because then people think, oh yeah, he's a Nazi, he's an extreme right wing, he hates all us lefties. I don't. I think everybody is a human being. They have their own points of view. If you're a left-wing person, fine, that's all right, nothing wrong. Even if you're a far lefty and you hate all whites, for example, and you think the assassination was a good thing, just keep it to yourself. Otherwise, you're going to draw attention to yourself. You're going to attract people that say, look, you're all crazy. You know? I wouldn't want anybody to be hurt, you know? Even somebody, Like, you know that guy who killed the Ukrainian woman? Yeah, at first, like, you want him to be executed. But then I think he's got mental health problems. It's not going to bring that woman back. If it brought that woman back, execute him, and then suddenly, like, this woman would appear. Okay, execute him. It's not going to bring her back. Yeah, some people say it was just justice, though. I don't know. I'm just a weakling. I'm pathetic, maybe. I can't. Sometimes I'm liberal in some ways. I think like a liberal, like a lefty. Like that guy who shot Charlie Kirk. When you look at him, he's a young idiot. Why the hell did he do it? You see his face. He looks almost innocent. And you think he's going to be executed. There's no way he's going to get away with not being executed. In Utah, they have execution. Even if they didn't, Trump would step in and would want him executed. It's not going to bring back Charlie Kirk. Sorry, guys. I'll speak to you guys another time. And that guy was radicalized. He's probably a nice kid. He was radicalized. And yeah, you could say evil can find its way into a good family as well. I've had problems with my kids as well. They've been radicalized. Not radicalized, but influenced by this woke, yeah, I'll call it evil. And just because someone thinks differently from you, it's not someone thinks differently from you. They are aggressive. There is an aggressiveness in this wokery. It's not like, oh, we somehow think differently from you. We think a woman is a woman and a man is a man, but there are other sexes. There's about 56 different types of sexes, that's all. No, they are aggressive. They're very aggressive with their wokery. They want conflict, you know, because they see injustice and racism everywhere, you know, so they have to fight back, right? This is the communist mindset. If you're a lefty, without this communist mindset or far-right mindset, that's okay. Because I have similar kind of views. But even if I didn't have those similar kind of views, I would, at least it's kind of benign, you know? You're kind of in the center. But once you have these extreme views, you know, that people have to be cancelled. And then what's the ultimate cancellation? What happened to Charlie Kirk? You don't agree with him, so you assassinate him. I wonder if he did it by himself, or he had there were other people behind this. I don't know. I mean, the lefties tried to assassinate Trump twice. So they are the party, unfortunately, the left, of trans terrorists and lefty woke terrorists. And I think because of this, it's going to change. You know, like there are some people on the left that will say, "Look, this is enough," and you know, we have to calm down with the wokery, with the extreme leftist rhetoric or ideology, and the actions of these Antifa. You know, I saw there was a demonstration where there was mums and dads, okay, in the States, mums and dads, and they were demonstrating a pedophile who was, I think, was convicted, and they were just demonstrating that maybe they didn't want this person working at this place. They were quietly demonstrating with placards here. They weren't saying anything. Antifa arrived, and they started throwing insults, saying that the F-bomb, MF, you know, so violent. They wanted to fight these men with big beards, wanted to fight these women and men, just mothers and fathers. I think there were children there as well. They are so aggressive. They're defending a pedophile. It just shows you what kind of world they want. They don't mind pedophilia. So you guys on the left, you are fighting for pedophilia. The maps, minor attracted persons. Let's make it more acceptable, right? It's not acceptable. It's pedophilia. And this is what the far left is pushing for. And people on the left have to think, am I on board with pedophilia? Am I on board with the assassination of people who don't agree with us? If you're on board with that, well, you might as well just go far left, join them, get dressed in black clothes and do the stuff that they do, or try and change from within the party. I don't know. Just say this is wrong. You're gonna get people saying, many people on the left said it's wrong. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Some people have said this, but some have kind of glorified it and said, and are jumping up and down and feeling happy about it and laughing at the death of a human being. Like, what kind of human being are you when you laugh and rejoice in the death of another human being? He's got a wife and 2 young children, you know? The problem is, you're going to wake up something, you know, because he was loved by a lot of the youth, the conservatives. And so people are going to rise up probably worse than, even better debaters than he was. I don't know. I always want peace, so yeah, now this guy's going to be executed. What happens in the future if you know, the father of this son can't take it and then ends himself, or, you know, the mother, or, you know, they get abuse from some, maybe even a far right person, or I don't know, or a far left person, because he got dobbed in by, you know, by his parents, by his dad. Anyway, people are crazy out there, so you have to be careful. Yeah. So that's my talk basically about what's been going on, and kind of replying to the comments that I've got and the emails that I get. Please don't send me emails. I get so many, you know, and kind of semi-troll emails, you know. Anyway, yeah, so if I lose subscribers, I'm not really worried. It doesn't mean that I don't care. It just means that I don't, you know, you have to be what you have to be, and other people have to be what they have to be. And if they don't like you, well, so be it, because that's the way they act, you know. They don't care about anybody. Well, it seems as though they don't care. I'm saying I care, but I have to stand by my humanity. If I say that somebody who doesn't agree with me, they get assassinated, I would never laugh or at the death of any human being. I mean, there may be exception. No, there's no exception. I wouldn't laugh. But I'm just talking about some like mass murder or something, and people said, oh, he should be executed. I might even have a problem with that. I don't know, because I have this weakness in my heart. I don't like execution, you know. It's a really difficult one. If you respect the life of every human being, what happens when you get a person who doesn't respect and doesn't care and wants to kill, you know, and there is the death sentence? What do? Do you agree or disagree with it? If I agree with it, it makes me a bad person, really, in my heart. If I don't agree with it, you don't punish the severe crime. I don't know. So you see, some people are saying, yeah, you're wrong. I know. It's just the way I think is wrong. I don't know. I'm not bloody perfect. I'm the first one to say this. Well, anyway, yeah. So I hope those guys on the far left, those idiots laughing, realize what they're doing, and they realize that if it was someone of their family who passed away, and other people, say on the far right, laughing and joking about it, they wouldn't like it, But it seems that these people have lost their humanity if they had it in the first place. So anyway, those are my... but I'm not hating on them, not really. I'm just saying what I see. And it's sad, it's really sad. Sad for them, to laugh at or to joke or to say that he deserved it and they want to have a party. They just... I don't know, do they really mean it? If they do, they're sick, really sick. Sick and evil, yeah, that's it. And I know I'm going to get in the comments, sick and evil. Very tolerant, aren't you? Yeah, so if people unsubscribe, then let it be. Some people might subscribe just because of what I said. But either way, I don't think I'm a right winger or conservative. I'm not really political, only in this instance. And if I am, so what? Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. Most of the time I'm not. You guys know I just talk about other stuff. But at the moment, the internet is blowing up, and so is my bloody email, my inbox. So that's why I'm making this long video, just to answer any questions you guys might have. So forgive me if you guys don't want me to talk about this, but it's my channel. I talk about what I want. All right, I better go. Speak to you. It's really hot in here. Speak to you guys in another video. Bye. Take care, and don't think too much about politics. It does your head in. I'm not anymore. I'm gonna finish this and not answer any more emails about this anyway. Speak to you guys later. Bye. Lefties, right wing, black, white, Jew, Palestinian, whatever. I have so many different kinds of fans. I didn't know I've got some trans, I've got some Jewish guys, black guys, Muslims, mostly whites. I don't know if I've got Italian. Yeah, I've got some Italian ones. Yeah, so anyway, I'll save my speech for another video. All right.